The songwriting split sheet is very important. I need you to understand that if a song or instrumental has more than one writer, get in a good habit to put the understanding and the intended objectives and goals between all parties on paper before any writing begins. Or talk it out and then write it out what you wrote out. Make sure that what you wrote is the same as what was spoken. In other words, have a written agreement. Be sure to include all the percentages of ownership. Now, if there are any changes as the co-writing or collaboration continues, add an amended clause that's signed and dated by all parties, noting any changes or updates to the original understanding. Things do change, yes. However, never assume that it's all right to proceed without the written agreement. I will include a sample split sheet too at the end of this lesson. The split sheet will be vital, especially when you get to the publishing registrations. And because it already contains a lot of the information that you will need to register your song with the Library of Congress, I wanted to insert the lesson right here. You'll need it later, but you can use it now. Songwriter split sheets are legal documents that establishes in writing who owns what percentage of ownership of a song. You need to have a split sheet for every song that you write or co-write. This helps to not only ensure that each person gets their fair share of the future publishing income, but it's the foundation to keep great records and documents of your business in music. Every split sheet needs to include a minimum of the following information: the title of the song, the date, the name, birth date, and all contact information of each songwriter's performing rights organization affiliation, the agreed-on percentage of ownership of each song, the specific contribution each person makes to the song, example, lyrics, melody, music, the hook, etc., including any versions of the song. Is there a radio version? Was there a remix done? You need to document all of that. And the signature. Be sure to fill out the songwriter split sheet at the end of the session. Make sure that each person signs it. Now, depending on the writer or producer situation that you're in, will determine other needed information. So if you're writing for a label in a studio, for example, you would want to include all of that information as well as the artist that you're writing for. When you don't specify proper ownership, it will be assumed that a song is owned equally regardless to how many writers may have contributed. If you write with one other person, for instance, and you write most of the song except for one verse, you and the co-writer needs to agree on what's the fair percentage. Fill out that document and sign it. If not, you could bring on unnecessary trouble or legal woes for yourself later, especially if the song becomes a hit and money starts to come in. Some have asked, well, how do I know my split? Well, that also depends on the situation you're in. It's important to have that conversation first. Now, depending where you are and the genre you're writing for, sometimes they have different known understandings or certain rules of thumb. For instance, in jazz, producers hardly ever share in ownership of a song unless, of course, they contribute to the writing. Same in country. Unless they help write lyrics or so, they hardly share in the ownership of a song. Now, some other genres like hip-hop, where they are responsible for a lot of things, including, they were hired to deliver the finished master as well as all of the significant contribution to the musical aspects of the song other than the beat. Therefore, asking for half ownership and collaboration works for them. Again, it depends on the situation. Talk it out. Have that conversation. See what's fair amongst all the writers. Write it out. Sign it. Talk. Work. Fill out the split sheet and be sure to sign it.